My name is Nathan, and welcome to my shrimp room. Hello and welcome back to my shrimp room. Unfortunately, today is one of those days where I have to give some pretty bad news on my crystal red shrimp tank. But before I drown you guys in bad news, I wanted to share some of my good news and some of the changes that I've made to my shrimp room. And that's, well, one of them is I built a little indoor garden down here. I planted some spinach. I do have some sprouts coming up. This one here I'll probably have to replant. For some reason it didn't grow. And this one here I have another sprout. And in the back here, my intention was to put nettles in there, and I did plant some nettle seeds, but I think I got a bogus batch of nettle seeds. They weren't very expensive, so it's not like I missed out on a whole lot of money. And over here I'm going to plant some kind of herbs for upstairs. Probably going to be basil, maybe some other herbs, not quite sure yet. But if this turns out pretty good, I do need to get some new lights for this. This one little light's definitely not going to light this entire garden area. But if this goes well, I want to extend this all the way along. And that's why I kind of didn't want to tell everybody I was going to put a bunch of shrimp tanks on it, because I kind of want to grow some food for my shrimp first and then put in more shrimp tanks. So I kind of want to leave my little work area up here. And this is my water change area. Then over here, this is the tank I'm going to be talking about here in a minute. This tank down here is my mixed tank. And I guess the good news is that these did get moved down here. They were upstairs for about a month after I moved everything else down here, because I really wasn't looking forward to moving these. And this one here is my mixed tank. There's some pretty neat looking shrimp in here. I don't know, they're probably all hiding, of course. This tank here was a nightmare to move. It was not fun at all. I thought I'd be a tough guy and try to move it with about 8 gallons of water in it and the substrate and all the shrimp. And it was not a good move. I want to say it was borderline just absolutely horrific. Because the stairs that I have to come downstairs are pretty awkward. And so these guys got sloshed around pretty bad. I didn't lose any shrimp though, thank God. And I have been moving a bunch of shrimp out here. That's why it looks a little empty. Because now that they're down here, I can finally separate them like I want to. And now for the bad news. Now, I did do a video on this tank before. And I think in that video I said there was anywhere between 400 and 500 shrimp in this tank. And unfortunately, that number has went down by about 100. And I didn't really want to do this video, but I feel like in my YouTube channel and in the shrimp community, I need to make sure that I'm honest. And, you know, everybody needs to know that shrimp keeping isn't always sunshine and rainbows. You are going to have some tough times like I do. If you're lucky, maybe you won't. But what happened in this tank was I was feeding these shrimp the same foods for about the last 6 months. And I was under the assumption that food was kind of food, so I ran out of my key foods that I was using, so I decided to go with some algae wafers from PetSmart, and I did make some homemade shrimp food out of duckweed and water lettuce. And it had some other things in there too, and I mean they did like it, but it wasn't enough nutrients in the foods that I was giving them. And now what happened was very disturbing. Now after I moved this tank down here, I finally got a really good chance to take a look at it. And when I was watching it, I didn't throw any food in for about 5 hours after I moved it. And I noticed that there was like little piles of shrimp fighting over food, and I'm like, what could they possibly be eating? And then I realized the horror that was happening, and that's my large females were actively hunting juvenile shrimp and killing them and eating them. And I had no idea that foods were going to cause such a huge problem on this tank. Now, when this started happening, I messaged the guy that I was buying my foods from before, and the ones that I was using for the last 6 months. And I told him what was going on. I explained my situation, and I just asked him, why in the world are my shrimp eating each other? You know, what would possibly be the reason for this? And he responded back with, well, my foods have a lot of protein, and it sounds to me like when you do have that many female shrimp in the tank, they do require a little more protein because they're constantly fanning eggs and they're just a larger shrimp. And what was happening in my tank was that they were going after the highest protein source in the tank, and that's shrimp themselves. And I did get a shipment of the foods back in yesterday. I'm really hoping that things can get back on track. I'm almost positive they will, though. And I did throw some mulberry leaves in there. They usually go crazy over it, but I did overfeed them when I got that food in because I really wanted them to stop eating each other. It was getting very disturbing to watch. But the shrimp are still doing good. I don't know how many buried ones I've entered. There's quite a few. She's buried there. Well, I know I learned something from all of this, and that's kind of the whole point of my channel, is just to kind of go over what I'm learning, what I have learned, what I think is successful. I'm never going to try to tell everybody this is how you have to do it, this is how you need to do it, because in reality, everybody likes to do things their own way. I'm trying just to inform people on the struggles and the good things that I'm going through. And I hope everybody enjoyed this video. I hope everybody has a wonderful day. Cheers.